Hi there. So we'll continue our saga with advanced MIDI controllers, iPads and touchscreens in music production. Now we will dive into Logic Pro X and see how to integrate and use these type of controllers with Logic Pro X when creating music. So let's get going. Okay, let's start with Maschine, and this is a MIDI controller that is quite heavily integrated with Logic Pro X. And why I say that is because it also can be used as a controller to control mixer. So you can switch between with the modes of like using Maschine as an instrument, but also then using it as a controller. So let's look on that specifically now as we are focusing on controllers, and just to kind of briefly show that I have this type of a configuration with Maschine, that I have pretty much programmed the Maschine in a way that I have kick and snare and things coming there. Then I have a bass instrument and arp and chords that I have programmed directly into the Maschine. So if I press play, I basically hear them. But yeah, that's basically basic use of Maschine, and I already covered Maschine and creating a Maschine template for Logic Pro X in the previous videos. But in order to use basically Maschine in a mixer and with mixer, you have an option to go and shift an instance. So you need to press in a Maschine, you need to press to shift an instance, and then you can, go between that which instance you want to actually load. And then if I have this beat 1 active, so it's my instrument. But if I want to go to basically Logic Pro X, I'd say load. And now actually instead of seeing the instrument, I can actually play and use the Maschine as a MIDI controller and control individual channels and do mixing from here. So, and I can also of course switch between the different channels that I have there. So I can basically effectively use this as a in my mixing. And then also it basically works with the transport controls, so you can use the transport controls in it to manage your Logic Pro X. So this is a tighter integration that exists with Maschine and Logic Pro X. It is offered for others as well, like Ableton Live and few others, but it would be advisable to check that what is the integration level with Maschine with your Digital Audio Workstation in order to figure this out. But then if you want to again shift back to your instrument, you basically press in a Maschine, you press shift and then the instance, and then you scroll into the beat 1 and then you are back in the instruments. So it's quite easy to jump between using it as a transport and MIDI controller for mixing and with the mixer, or then jumping back to your instrument. Alrighty, let's look how to use iPad in the music production with Logic Pro X. So what I have here is a Metagrid I/O with default Logic Pro X template. This is something that it comes with, and then of course you can basically use it and control your Logic Pro X. There are different views that you can add into it. So I haven't worked that much with Logic Pro X and with Metagrid I/O, but anyway, this is a very handy tool to do anything regarding on that. If you want to, for example, look and open your mixer, or then get into your controllers, or go into the edit mode. So you can quickly do all these type of macros within Metagrid I/O. The editing of this is quite easy, so you can basically go into the edit mode and then select the button that you want to edit. You can see the macros that have been added into that, and so for example show and hide tuner, and things like that. So when you select the object, you can see that what type of a macro has been created into that, and that's basically how you can do the programming over here. You can control everything, you know, the look and feel of the buttons and so on and so forth. So it's a pretty handy tool to take control of your and support a kind of a sidekick to your music production workflow. Also, if I would like to change the color of that, I can basically then press that button. It will bring me the kind of the color editor, and I can open and close it easily, and you know, things like that. Or if I would like to mute the track, I can go into the mute mode. Oh, sorry, that's a macro tool. So it's so that's a key tool. If I would have a clip in it, I could basically change the tool into the macro tool, mute tool, or solo tool, or an arrow. That's pretty much. Let's go into the editor, so it's more meaningful to see there. So if I'm here now, I change the tool. I can basically then go into the. Here you can see that it changes from scissors, from scissors to pointer to pencil, and so on and so forth. So so that's how you can then control easily with just the touch screen that what key macros, keyboard shortcuts you run against Logic. Of course, there are other iPad applications that work similarly. However, based on my reviews and usage of those, I really like how the Metagrid I/O has been set up, and as specifically how easy it is to configure and create new scenes and templates for different actions, keyboard shortcuts or macros. So I really enjoy using this one over the others that exist. However, Logic has its own iPad app as well, so let's dive into that next. So Logic Pro X own controller is also quite handy, and actually extremely handy in few cases. For example, where I have used it and where I have seen a benefit when working with Logic is that you can actually quicker get plugins selected than from using a mouse or something. And then if you have customized your menus, they are actually reflected to the iPad, of course. So if I need to go into mix tools and I want to go into EQ or bring an EQ into the project, I can do that quite easily by using iPad and Logic app in the iPad. So this is something that I have at least found out that is pretty awesome and usable. So I can easily do things like this, and then of course you can select the track that you are working with. You have different modes. I'm currently in a mixer mode, so I could basically go into the I/O, or I could go effects, or I could go volume control when I have then the faders that I can then use. So if I actually bring forward the mixer, you can see that it of course reflects the mixer that I have in front of me. And then of course you can scroll easily also the different channels that you want to work with, and take control of those channels. And so in my eyes, this is pretty convenient to use with Logic, and I definitely when I have used Logic Pro X, I have used this sidekick for that reason, because the integration is great. You have different modes over here as well. If you are programming drums, you could use step sequencer, you could use chord strips, different controls like smart controls for your needs. You can also define the key commands, so you can have here, you can program these patterns and then what they do, and so that in a way run certain macros or keyboard shortcuts directly from here. And so that app is very convenient and great to be used with Logic Pro X. And again, like I have said in the beginning as well of this series of videos, any kind of leftover family iPad will work here, so you don't need to have the latest and greatest iPad to do this. So the old iPads that are not any more used by the family can be easily used with these apps in your music production. Okay, let's move forward with the controllers. Okay, let's pause the video over here and continue next Tuesday. Remember to subscribe for the channel for more content. Thanks for watching. See you next Tuesday. Bye now.